Okay, so I was saying this example, we start by declaring the rate in form of money, and then we are using the AdventureWorks database. So we are going to get the rate from a table in this database where the employee ID is 23. And once we do that, we want to check if that rate that we have gotten is 15 or it is, if it's less than 15. This is an example where you want to retrieve information from the database and see employees whose rate of pay is low and might need to be reviewed or maybe get a salary increment. So you can do that by using the if statement, if else statement in this way. So I'll go ahead and just type this in in Management Studio while waiting for the others to join us. Okay.
Okay.
So we are saying, now let me just see if I did. Oh, okay, I already have this. Okay, sorry that there. I already have this one here. So that's the example. So we are declaring the sales amount and we set the value to 5,000. Then we are checking if the sales amount is 5,000, then we can multiply by 0.2, which is the interest rate and so on. And now I want us to look at this one. So we declare a variable which is going to be used to store the rate obtained from this table. Let me just show you this table. So select from AdventureWorks, let's say human resources, that employee pay history. So this table, that's the information we have. We have a column called pay rate, and you can see that, so it's pay. That's a rate at which they're paid, maybe per hour or per day or whatever. So for employee with ID1, the rate is 13.45, maybe dollars per week or per hour. This one is 14 point something, but this one is 44 point, it's quite high. So we want those whose rate is less than 15, like this one, this one, this one, this one, to have this message displayed that they need a review of the rate per rate. Okay. Of course, here we are specifying that we want employee number 23. This one, the rate is 11, so that is less than 15. So if we execute this, as employee number 23, the rate is 11. We have changed the rate and that's why we have got that. Or we haven't yet changed it, but we just have that statement saying review of the rate is required. But if we pick someone like number 3 or one of these with high rates, like this one, number 4, employee ID number 4 is 30 years. So that one doesn't need a review because it's already quite high. So we're saying review of the rate is not required. The rate is equal to 30.85. Okay. Now, the point I was trying to illustrate is because we have multiple statements which are supposed to be executed when this condition is false, we use the word begin and end. So it's going to make sure that if this condition is false, it's going to execute all these statements until it comes to the word end. Okay. Another example based on the AdventureWorks database is this one. This one, we want to
Sir,
find, yes?
I can't see the screen. I can't see the screen that you're portraying.
Sorry, come again?
The screen you're talking about, I'm just seeing the one for the example.
Oh, you can't see the, oh, sorry, I need to reshare it again.
The studio management. Yes.
Are you able to see now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I forgot to share it. So what I was saying is I have this example already typed. We have the rate and we are going to retrieve rate for employees from this table. And we started with 23. And this table, let me just show you this table. This is the table. It has these columns: employee ID, rate change date, rate, pay frequency, and so on. So the variable that we have declared is going to be storing the rate which is found in this column. So for number 23, which is this one, the rate is 11. So when we test it here, this is going to turn out to be true. 11 is less than 15. So it's going to print a statement saying review of the rate is required. And if we pick employee number 4, for example, number 4, there's 20, then 30, or number 5, where there's 26, number 6 has 38.5. It's not going to execute this part. Instead, it's going to execute what begins there all the way up to where it says end. Okay, so let's start with 23. So if I execute this part, so we see there the message saying review of rate is required because it is less than 15. But if we pick, say, now employee number 6, whose rate is more than 15, we're going to see that it's going to say review of the rate is not required, and the rate is 38.50. Okay. The next example again is from the same AdventureWorks database. This one we are using the keyword exists to find rows which will meet this condition. We are going to check a table called department, and we are going to look for a department, an entry where name is called mechanical. Maybe before we execute, we can just have a look at the data, which is there. Let's say from human resources dot department. So this is the table. So we are looking for this column. We want to check in this column for an entry where it says mechanical. We don't seem to have any. So we are saying if it exists, we are going to execute this statement. Otherwise, we are going to print a message saying the department details are not available, instead of getting an error message. Okay.
Yes.
So can go ahead and execute this part. So now I need to leave out this part, start from there. Okay. So we seem to have mechanical. Maybe I didn't use something. Sorry, I shouldn't execute this one. Okay. So it's giving us the message that the details for that department do not exist. But if we were to pick another department which is in the table, say sales. So we change this one to say sales. Sales. Then what is going to happen is that when this is executed, it's going to check and find that, yes, there is a department with the name called sales. And since that is true, then it's going to display the details for the department wherever it says sales. And if you look at this one, there is one, or just one, okay? So it's going to display the details which are there. So I'll go ahead and execute that. So it will show department ID 3, name, sales, group name, sales and marketing, and so on. Okay, so that's how you use the if-else statement. I'll stop there for now, unless you have question. I think others maybe we have finished their bundles. They have not been able to join in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we will come and look at the case statement, which is here, and the while statement. Then we proceed to look at stored procedures.
Okay.
So far we have only looked at batches. We have defined batches, and then we have looked at programming constructs. We say that in TSQL, you can use 3 constructs, programming constructs, to add logic to your program, so that instead of your statements just being executed one after the other in that sequence, the program should be intelligent enough to check if certain things are true, then it should do something. If they are false, then it should do something else. Okay. And we have looked at the if-else statement. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. So like I've noticed this one also, they resemble the pseudocodes that like we recently started learning about pseudocodes and algorithms in logic building and problem solving. Is it almost the same concept as what we're doing right here?
Yes. When you are looking at pseudocode, pseudocode is meant to help you think through how the program is going to work, and you write it in very plain English. But even in pseudocode, you can include the constructs such as if, else, while, and so on. But
Yes.
pseudocode is not an actual language. It's not a programming language. It's just a way of you, the computer programmer, trying to plan how your program is going to work. So you find that in pseudocode, you can use maybe where instead of beginning a set of statements to be executed, like we have done here.
Yes.
Yeah. You can just maybe use the curly brackets.
Okay.
And the end will be marked by the curly bracket like that. But of course, in Java programming, in PHP and JavaScript, C#, that's how it's done. Okay.
Yeah.
But in pseudocode, you just use plain English to help you write how the program is going to run. Once you do that, it's very easy now to translate it into actually now code it in the programming language that you are using. Yes. So it will look very similar because SQL is a very high level language. It's very close to the normal way we speak as human beings. So it's going to, it will look like pseudocode. I don't know if that has answers your question.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Any other question before we close?
No.
You should have this code so you can go through it. Then we'll come and when we meet next week, we'll come and continue from there and see the other constructs. Then we'll proceed to look at stored procedures.
All right.
Okay, we'll see you then.
Right, sir.